Hi, it's George Nordhaus. Here we are on a Monday morning, and we're at the third of the three terrific presentations that are going to be talking about your digital presence. Well, you'll hear more about what this one's all about. If you'll remember, we have three presenters, and they'll do it all, and you don't have to listen to me. That's good news because they are really well organized. I heard them at the New Mexico Big I Convention, and they were terrific, and well, you'll hear in just a minute. Anyhow, one of them, the person on the left is Marty Agather. He's the CPCU. He was an insurance agent, IT specialist. He's really been around. He's got a CPCU arm and so forth. I was never able quite to do that, Marty. Never couldn't pass the test, but that's kind of neat. And you got he was with an agency in Chicago. He then became a senior manager at Applied, other insurance-related technology. He's really a technician as well as a common sense guy, if I can put it that way. He's vice president of sales for Project Cap in Minneapolis, and you're going to hear a lot from him. Marit Peters is in the New Mexico Association. She is well, it's hard to describe her because she does so many things. She's a chief strategy officer for them. And she's been leading teams in developing strategic business plans and guidance, all kinds of organizations over the years. Company growth, productivity, market. She really knows digital marketing. And I was really amazed when I heard her, and she had us at the convention split up into groups and say what pros and cons of doing business with independent agents. It was done so well. Man, I just said that we got to get this person here and the other two guys and bring them here so you could hear them. She's had the leadership positions of all shapes and sizes, aviation, manufacturing, IT, healthcare. She's amazing. Jason Cass is an insurance agent. He has his own agency. Jason has one of the few virtual agencies I know. It's a nice agency in Centralia, Illinois. Very, very small agency. I mean, small in space, but he does very well in verbal, anything verbal, because he's really, really quite a speaker. Young guy, he's really learned a lot very quickly. He's a CIC, incidentally. He's an insurance marketing guy. You can just see it. He says, I'm an insurance geek. Show you what a hit he's made. He was the Illinois Young Agent of the Year in 2005, and then he just finished his term as chair of the National Young Agents Committee of the IIABA. He's going around, he's speaking, he's doing all kinds of stuff, and I'm enamored with what he and some of his partners are doing. At any rate, what we're going to do, I'm going to introduce Marit and let her tell you what we're going to do on this third time around. And incidentally, we're going to be working from a manual, and if you have the email that I sent you, then you'll have that link on there. You can bring it right out there. If not, you can just drop an email to Marit at iianm.org, and you'll see her address here. Drop her an email, and she'll give you the link so that you can go ahead and use it. It's very, very, very worthwhile. It's one of the best things I've seen so far. Marit, it's your nickel.
Great, thank you, George. So welcome back to those of you who've joined us for the last two sessions. And obviously this is our third of three. Enjoyed our time with you. And as many of you have gone through the process with us, there is a workbook, as George has mentioned. And we're going to be starting just on page 11. I think there will be a lot of notes that you will want to take, so you may need extra paper. Jason is going to dig in today on being social and how to be engaged, whereas the first presentation we really talked about the power of we and then me. So as an independent agent, how do I brand myself as part of a system so we can use the power of association of one another together, and then how do then I make myself unique about me versus my independent agent competition, so to speak. So this is something that we are all in together. And we certainly then want to make sure we're found. And so session 2 was about how do I make sure I have a professional website? And then how do I'm sure that I'm optimizing search engines that are out there, and specifically we focused on Google Plus Business. And we also talked about the new trustedchoice.com site that's available for Big I members. So today we are now jumping into being social, and Jason Cass, who is, as George mentioned, a virtual agent, has a virtual agency, uses Facebook specifically, and is very engaged in being social. And I think that this is definitely one of those areas that many of us have a lot of questions about. How do we actually do it? And it can be a little scary. So we've asked Jason to start that conversation for us, start to touch on pieces, and if you can get staff involved in this, the more people involved in your process and in building your network, the better you will be. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Marty. And Marty, if you can set the stage today for us, and then Jason will take the most of today's presentation.
Excellent. Thanks, Marit. Absolutely. As Marit indicated, in last week's session, we started out with the core of your online persona, your website, making sure that that syncs up with your digital marketing brand that we talked about in week 1. We also want to have your agency be found out on the search engines. We talked and gave some hints there. But one of the key technologies that's out there, and it's on the tip of everybody's tongue, particularly here in the insurance world, is this whole new environment of social networking. And honestly, social networking can be scary. When we look at all of the different opportunities that are out there to be social and the new ones that pop up every day, it's very, very hard to understand what to do, where are we, but why are our customers out there? Because primarily we are social, right? It's not work, work, work all the time. So where do your customers gather? Well, if they want to be out there and they just want to check in back and forth, if they want to be totally off work hours, primarily we're seeing them on Facebook and Twitter. There are some other ones we're going to get to here in a second that they also spend time on in their free time. But Facebook and Twitter are by far the heavyweights in this category. For work, it's LinkedIn. We talked a little bit about Google Plus Business last week. We'll have a little bit here today. Jason is going to give us a little bit of an overview there. There are some location-based ones. Now, these are a little bit tougher to figure out exactly how we use in the insurance industry, but Foursquare is a facility that's out there. Essentially what you do is you can check in on your Foursquare account and tell everybody, hey, I'm down the street at Bill's Books and I'm browsing books on dog care. Okay, TripIt is a tool that I use quite a bit. It's designed to manage your various trips. You keep all it's your locker for your airline tickets, for your reservations, for your hotels, rental cars, and that kind of stuff. Photos is another huge opportunity, okay? Instagram, the sharing of photos, the ability to kind of tint it, make it look old, give it a little nice color to it. All of those tools exist in Instagram. It's a new way to communicate. Pinterest is another one. Many people are using Pinterest now as a virtual corkboard, if you will. You pin up the most important things to you, whether that's recipes. I like to cook, so I collect recipes, or it might be new fishing lures, because I'm also a fisherman, so I've got a collection of fishing lures out there. All right, video is a huge component, and video is one of the ways. We didn't really talk about it, but video is an opportunity for your agency to be found. And YouTube doesn't have to only host what many of us think as the YouTube model, which is a talking head, right? So there's a camera staring at Marty and Marty's telling you about something. You can also, for example, this webinar is hosted on YouTube. You can also take a PowerPoint slideshow, record it yourself, and upload it to YouTube using tools. There are free tools that are out there that can create very, very creative videos that publicize your agency to the world. So, ongoing, this is never going to slow down. Right now, social is the hot thing in the development world. There are new social products being released by technology companies almost weekly. Obviously, some of them are going to be very applicable to insurance, and we're going to figure out how to use them. Others are going to be a flash in the pan. Nobody is ever going to use them, and so we are in this space. Jason's got a lot of opinions here. I'm now going to turn it over to Jason. He's going to tell you a little bit about the tools that he personally makes use of first off, and then he's going to do a deep dive for us on how he specifically uses Facebook to help drive business to his agency. Jason, take it away. And if you're on mute, unmute.
Marty, if you would, go back one to that slide, because I get a question a lot right here. This is a question I want to just chill everybody out and just calm you down right now, because Marty just went over a lot of different things. And when he goes over it, he's talking about LinkedIn and Pinterest and Instagram and YouTube and Twitter, and just listening to Marty even talk about it has nothing to do with him. But anytime you listen to anybody talk about this stuff, your mind starts spinning. And I mean, your heartbeat goes up, your palms start getting sweaty. And I just want to just tell you right now, just take a deep breath and realize that you don't have to use all these tools. It's probably one of the top 5 questions I get all the time is, it's which one should I use, okay? So over the course of the next 20 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about what I believe to be probably the most important ones you need to use. And to answer your question exact, just pick one. Use them all a little bit. Figure out which one you like the best, where you think your probably niche is going to be, where your target's going to be. I think a lot of people say, well, you always want to use the one that your customer's on. Well, that's not necessarily true. You want to use the one that makes you feel comfortable so you stand out, because it's all about you in promoting your business, in promoting your agency, and we all know that that's who our clients buy from, is us. So if we use a site that we're not comfortable with, it's going to show. Find one, use it that you feel good with, use it, and you'll be very successful at it, I promise. All right, Marty. The way that these things, here's what I want to do. I want to talk about, just go to YouTube if you could, throw all those up. What I want to talk about, you're going to notice that over the next 15 minutes, I'm going to talk a lot about Facebook. But I want to just hit real quick on some other social sites, because I think Facebook, and I believe these 4 other sites right here are essential to you having a strong marketing presence in the social world, and it actually can leak over into the real world. Also want to state one more principle as we go through this, and as I talk, I want you to understand this principle, and because it means a lot of different things. All the principles of real life work in the virtual world. I want you to remember that as we go through, because you're going to hear me say a lot of things, and I just want you to think sometimes it's another place for you to take a deep breath and realize, if I know a little bit about marketing in the real world, then you probably know that same amount of marketing in the virtual world. So a lot of the principles work the same. When we come to YouTube, first of all, YouTube's owned by Google. Enough said. Okay, they're going to dominate the world. I think that's what they're really after, is world domination. And since they own that, please understand that this is a huge medium that can be used. Let me give you first, right off the bat, a short little thing that you could do. You call up your client. You call them on the phone. Or you call up a prospect. You're getting ready to go see him next Thursday at 1 o'clock. And then you're on the phone with him, and you say to him, hey, I'd like to have your email address if I could, just so I can send you my contact information. If anything would come up in the meantime, you can send me an email letting me know, hey, this is what's, sorry, we have to rearrange, or we have to make a new appointment. And the client, or the prospect, what do they always say? Yeah, sure, here's my email address. What I do is I get directly onto my webcam when I hang up the phone with them. I'll say to them, hey, I start recording a video. Hey, this is Jason Cass. John, it was really nice talking to you today. I can't wait to see you next Thursday at 1 o'clock. If something would happen in the meantime, feel free to give me a call and let me know if we can't meet. Thanks, John. Simple little 15-second video like that. I then take and upload it to YouTube. I open up an email. I put John's email into it. I drop the link into it and say, hey, John, can't wait to see you next week, and I email it right over to him. John opens it up. He sees my face. Here's what happens. Next Thursday, when I walk in the door at 1 o'clock and I'm sitting in the lobby waiting for John to come out, when I come out, his receptionist doesn't have to tell him that I'm here. He instantly sees me and says, Jason, hey, how are you doing? Come on back. It's an instant way to make communication and to make an effective face-to-face meeting before the meeting actually happens. Because keep in mind, the things that happen in the real world also happen in the virtual world. So YouTube is huge on that. Last thing I got to say on YouTube, which I think is just essential because this is a little futuristic, but if you've noticed, smart TVs are coming out. They've got TVs now that are like our smartphones where they have apps. Well, think about a world when you're sitting in front of your television, you're watching TV, and instead of just turning on the tube, you click the YouTube button. And you have the Fox channel, and you'll have the HBO channel, and all those channels will be coming through YouTube pretty soon for about $40 a month, according to Google. Now imagine I have JDC INS channel. How powerful is that for you to be sitting there watching Fox News and turn the channel and then be on the JDC INS channel or on the George House Monday morning channel? This is where Google has a prime mission, is to level the field for everybody out there. And by me being in between Fox News and ESPN, that levels the field. YouTube is huge going forward. On to the next one, if I could. We're going to talk about LinkedIn. What I use LinkedIn for is very simple. I'm going to tell you it's a very powerful tool for prospecting. Being able to say, if I want to know who Marit is, but I don't know her, but I know Marty, but I know Marty knows Marit, and Marit owns a big manufacturing business, I can connect with Marty, and I can ask him and get to know Marty and ask him directly what he knows about Marit. So when I make that conversation, we can talk things about that are relevant. See, isn't that the same thing we used to do sitting around at the chamber meetings or at an early morning on Monday having the coffee at McDonald's? You always wanted to know about somebody else that somebody else knew so that you could make the connection. Once again, real life, virtual, mixing. That's what I use LinkedIn for, is prospecting, finding out connections. Google Plus. Google Plus, once again, world domination, owned by Google. I think it is a huge, huge player in a lot of different areas. I've only got so much time, so I can't go too deep into it. But I'll let you know that there's things called authorship and publishership tags that are huge that you can use for your blogs. If I put an authorship tag on one of my blogs, you can't steal my information, because it's just like if I'm the author of a book, you can't copyright it. You can't copyright my blog stuff. Google finds out about it, and they'll penalize you for it. Not only that, if you're writing a blog and you post it on Google Plus likes the fact that you're using their stuff. When people go out and they search for insurance, what search engine do they usually use? You're right, Google. So when they use Google, if your blog's on Google Plus, you kind of get priority there, and they'll bump yours a little bit higher. A lot of reasons to use Google Plus. I'm going to end by saying this. Google Plus is the biggest thing that will be in the future. Right now, it's not quite there, but it's growing way faster than they thought. In the next 2 to 3 to 4 years, it will absolutely be Google Plus. Twitter, I'm just going to say on Twitter, I think it should be the least used tool of all the tools out there, okay, for the ones that I'm going to talk about, the 5 I'm going to mention. Why? It's just the way it is. It's not something, it's something good to communicate with your clients, but it's not really a good marketing tool. It's a communication tool. See, some of these tools are good for marketing, some of them are good for communication. This is a good communication tool. Hey, we're closed for the holidays, or hey, there's a tornado headed this way, our electricity's out. That's a good way to communicate with people. But as far as getting your message out and marketing to them, I think that should be the least used. All right, let's go on to the next one. Now, as you can tell already, I am very biased. Marty, you can flip this thing. I am very biased in the fact that I love Facebook. Okay, sorry about that. I got ahead of myself for a minute. Are you guys able to hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure,
Perfectly.
Oh, I want to discuss this real quick, outbound versus inbound. You're going to hear this a lot in the future. You're going to hear it a lot now, and I just want you to remember what this is about. Outbound over here is the way we used to market. That's the old school. Inbound, that's present, okay? Outbound used to be, here's what my company does, why you should buy from us, look how great our business is, learn about our company. We're using direct mail, advertising, cold calls, and trade shows. Not to say that those aren't used today, but those are advertising to the unconnected generation. Understand that there is no such thing as age and technology. It's connected generation versus unconnected generation. If you follow George Nordhaus' Monday mornings, about a week or two, you've had Ryan Hanley, who was telling you about all the connected and unconnected generation. The connected generation over here is on the right side. These are the people you're trying to communicate to. Read our blog. Increase your profits. Let us answer your questions. How do you drive sales? Notice we're not doing what's called interrupting marketing, which is over here on the left side, the outbound. What we're doing is we're kind of acting like a spider in a way. We're putting out our net, and when someone has a need, they fly into it, and we go out there and help them. Can't really picture the spider because the spider's kind of killing the people. That's not what we're trying to do. But it's able to cast your net and able to bring in the traffic that you need. That's what we're doing over here. You need to put your audience, your stuff out there, so when your audience has a need, they find you. That's inbound marketing. Marty flipped the switch. Now, why Facebook? Why is Facebook the thing that I do the most? Well, I'm just going to tell you flat out. When I got in the business, I started in 2010. I started in 2002, but when I started my own agency in 2010, I was not on any of these sites. And my wife was on Facebook. So I decided, well, I'm going to get on Facebook. I got on Facebook. I thought it was silly. I told her it was silly for a year. I got on Facebook, and I started doing some things and trying to create relationships. And lo and behold, guess what you're supposed to do on there? Create relationships, enhance relationships, deepen relationships. That is what Facebook's about. Then on the other side, I have all my insurance instructors telling me that insurance is all about relationships. So I figured it's probably a good platform for me to use. Why do I use Facebook? It's where the people are. That's simple. It's the chamber, it's the Rotary, it's the golf course, it's the Monday morning coffee at the McDonald's. It's where all the people are. So if I'm going to advertise, I'm going to go to where all the people are. If you think about all of the sites that I just talked about, whether it was YouTube, whether it's Google+, Twitter, you could even say some of the ones Marty was talking about, there's people on all those, but I would almost be willing to bet you that everybody who's on Facebook is not using all of those, but almost everybody who's on all those other ones is using Facebook. So that's why I chose Facebook. It's where the people are. Communication and marketing channels are vast. Very big key here. I think this is an unbelievable key. A lot of you guys out there have an email marketing campaign, 10, 15, 20% open rates. This is the reason why. People just don't listen to the radio and newspaper and get all their news anymore. We know this. Actually, if you're advertising to me on the newspaper or radio or the billboards or the phone book, I've never seen you or heard you. So we have now consumers are what we call selective to their I can't even say the word, excuse me, to their senses, excuse me. What I mean by that is we're in a world that's so bombarded by different types of marketing that we are able to tune out what we see, what we smell, what we hear. We're able to do that. Think about driving down the road listening to a radio. Did you hear the last 3 commercials that were on there? No, you tuned it out. So that's why it's very, very hard for us to use other kind of communication and marketing channels to make sure that we're hitting everybody. Okay? Email. If you ask my son about email, my son will tell you that the only reason he thinks email is around is so that he can sign up for a new website. I kid you not. That's what he thinks that it's for. We're starting to realize that email is going to become not such an effective communication tool. If I can tell you one thing that will help your business in the coming years, it's this. Collect everybody's cell phone number that you can find, because pretty soon you're going to get email messages, text, phone calls, any type of correspondence that's going to come to your phone is going to be done through your cell phone number. Don't get landlines, get cell phone numbers. That's the way you're going to communicate and market with people in the future. No other tools cover the whole sales cycle. This is why I use Facebook. I can prospect, I can create relationships, I can prospect, I can enhance relationships, I can get them to bring them into the sales cycle or where they allow me to quote their insurance. I then can, once they become my prospect, I can continue nurturing that relationship, which is increasing my retention. Under all the other social sites I said before, each one of those does a certain sector of the sales cycle, whether it's prospecting, whether it's communicating, whether it's bringing them the sales cycle, whether it's giving them your content through search. Facebook, it does all of them. It does all of them. Go to Centralia Insurance, Illinois. Centralia Insurance, Illinois, or Insurance Centralia, Illinois. When you want to talk about search, put it in the Google box, hit start. The first link that comes up to the very top is me. And it's not my website, it's my Facebook page. So it works in search too. There's many other reasons. I'm short on time. George is over here waving his hand telling me I only got a little bit more, so we're going to continue on. Things I do on Facebook. I call it an ads auger. If you're from I've realized this traveling around the country, that a lot of people in America don't know what an auger is unless you live in the Midwest. An auger is something that takes something from one place and puts it to another. Just know that. If you're a farmer, you know that. Okay, get friends. Here's something that I love to do. Now this right here is worth gold. Okay, I usually charge people for this, but George told me to bring you on and not to charge you for Monday morning listeners. Get somebody to be my friend. So if you go to Facebook and you become my friend right now, you may not realize it, but when I accept your friendship, you're going to instantly start getting certain type of ads that are going to be ran directly to you. And what those ads are going to do is they are going to tell you about my fan page or tell you about my Facebook JDC Insurance Group fan page. What it's also going to start doing is you're going to start seeing how your friends have interacted with my fan page. And then all of a sudden you're going to say, maybe this is a good place to go. You're going to go to my fan page and you're going to like it. Okay? Once you like it, then I'm going to totally switch up my ads that I'm running to you. Now that you're my fan, I'm going to start running you different types of ads that are going to start giving you giveaways. Because when you sign up for one of my giveaways, that's going to give me your email address. When I get your email address, now I can communicate and market to you any way that I choose because you gave me permission. Make sure you're getting permission. It is a no-no to send somebody an email if you do not have permission. Once I get your email and you're my fan, I've corralled you, and now I'm able to run a contest test or a sweepstakes to you to where I can actually turn you into a client. Because what you didn't realize is when you were going through the auger, I was turning you into a prospect. When I run the contest, I turn you into a client. That's one of my tricks that I do. Marty, on the next one. I can teach a whole presentation just on that one right there, but I got to jump ahead. Likes and interest ads. You kind of notice in your Facebook news feed, you see all these ads coming, you know, people, whether they're trying to sell you shampoo to, you know, Dave Matthews tickets or whatever. I'm a Dave Matthews fan, hence the reason why I see a lot of Dave Matthews stuff. But you even see the ads over there on the right side. Well, those ads are controlled by me. When you sign up for a Facebook profile and you put in your stuff and you put in, hey, I love the book Good to Great and I love the Dave Matthews Band. If you remember when you filled out your profile, Facebook asked you all this stuff. When you filled it out, they now allow marketers inside of Facebook to have access to that, not specifically you, but to know who likes Dave Matthews, who likes this certain type of book, and it allows me to create ads specific to you. So here would be an example. If I want to send an ad because my companies tell me that they're good at writing this type of person and they have a high success closing ratio on them, I'm going to run ads to that specific type of person. If I can run ads to a 30-year-old woman who drives a minivan, watches Desperate Housewives, and her wife and her husband owns a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, I can run ads on Facebook to people. The only people that will see my ad is a 30-year-old woman who drives a minivan, watches Desperate Housewives, and her husband owns a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. That's how specific and targeted we can get, okay? And when it comes to cost, which is the other side of any kind of marketing program, I'm going to show you here at the end how cheap it is to run those ads. So this is niche and target marketing at its best. Generic branding ads. I do all kinds of ads. I do happy birthday ads. If you're a fan of my agency and you like my page, on your birthday, I can't guarantee it, but you've got a very high likelihood that during this, on the side, on the right-hand column, and maybe you might get one in your news feed, I'm going to say, JDC Insurance Group would like to wish you happy birthday. Now think about how personal that is. That's something that we used to spend a lot of money and sending out the door. I'm doing it for so cheap, it's unbelievable. And you wouldn't believe how many people interact with me and say, man, how did you know it was my birthday? It's just nothing more than checking a box when I'm filling out the ad. Thank you ads. I run thank you ads to people in their news feed and on the side that says, hey, thanks for being a fan of JDC Insurance Group. What's the benefit of all this? Holiday ads. I run a holiday ad. This one up here, I always show this holiday ad up here. And the reason is because every year, and I can't wait to try it again in January, every year this is the #1 ad that I get the most clicks on. I run Thanksgiving, I run 4th of July, I run all kinds of ads, Labor Day. This one I get the most clicks on. And according to look at my demographics and stuff of who my fans are, I don't have a lot of African American fans, but for some reason this one gets the most clicks. Why do I run these? You see up there right underneath it where it says sponsored and it says JDC Insurance Group? That's what I want. When my client or my prospect, it's 7:30 at night and they're watching the Cardinals game, which tonight, go Cards, when they're sitting there on there watching the game and that ad pops up, They see JDC Insurance Group in their house. I'm in their house. That's how important it is to what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to brand and create awareness and market to them. I'm in their house at 7:30 at night. Special and current events. Hit it one more time, Marty. This I don't have enough time to go through, but I just want to let you guys know this earthquake and deductibles. The most popular, most engaging posts you will ever have. Please write this down. This has come from 4 years of trial and error. Are current events. Things that are going on right now. I can go on my site and I can put about the St. Louis Cardinals playing in the World Series, and I'm going to get more engagement than I ever would. I ran this ad right here on May 11th of 2011. Excuse me, March 11th of 2011. That's when the earthquake happened in Japan. I made this little post about people with their earthquake insurance, and I was bombarded with clicks, bombarded with hits, bombarded with comments and messages. I ran it for about 3 days. I took it down, and I wanted to know if maybe it just was people's emotions were high or why they were doing it. So I reran it in September of 2011. I never got one click on it. Current events are huge. Current events of what's going on right now. Talk about it and you'll get engagement. Also, we have mobile ads. You can now have ads that go directly to the mobile phone. Okay? Marty? Here's my numbers after 42 months that I want to talk about. I just did these this morning at about 5:30 this morning because Marit told me I had to have it by 7. Here's my numbers. I have thousands of fans, followers, and connections. Those don't mean anything until they're a prospect or a client. I've written so far $232,000 in new business social premium. Notice I put that there. I still write personal lines where my friends talk to me at the football games or baseball games, or they just call me out of the blue. This is stuff that I've generated from being online. And one last other thing I got to tell you, I'm a commercial producer. And a lot of this right here you're going to see has to do with personal lines. That's because I have an automatic setting that I can put this baby in motion, hit play on Sunday, go sell commercial lines, and this stuff comes in. I've earned $34,000 in new business revenue off of doing this. Over $9,000, and that should say personal lines new business revenue. Life insurance about $9,000, and I really never even asked for that. That just comes on the side. I have total personal lines new business and renewal commission and life insurance. If you add it all up, it's $74,000. Total commercial new business and renewal is $14,000 just off of doing all my social stuff. And total for everything for new business and renewal, commercial lines, personal lines, and life is about $88,000. Now keep in mind, I'm still writing railroad contractors and social services and specialty auto. That's what I do. But I also was told by the wise tenured agents that I needed to have a strong personal lines book in order to be successful. That's what Facebook does for me. 99% retention. I forgot that I just added that this morning because this is new to my presentation. I just had my first client 2 weeks ago, actually, who I got from doing my social stuff that I do, that came to me, that actually left my agency. And you know why she left? Because she moved to Texas. So I called my buddy in Texas, and he's now helping her. But I have a 99% retention on all of my business I get off social media. I have about a 95.5 to a 96% retention on all my other book of business. So that tells you something right there. These are good clients. All right? And I believe this is my last slide. I want you guys to see this. This is power right here because of all the numbers I just showed you. I want you guys to kind of look along the bottom. You can see that I ran almost 18 million impressions. That's like 18 million ads on Facebook. Okay? There's how many clicks I've received. Here's all this stuff. Here's how much money I've spent on Facebook. $2,556. Hold on. I know you're kind of rubbing your eyes real quick. $2,556.68. Now, to be 100% transparent, as I want to be with everybody so you understand the power of this, in 2011, I worked with Project CAP, which is Marty's a part of. I worked with Project CAP they helped me with my social media presence, and I helped them show the results of what agents can do. We had a great partnership together. They spent a little under $5,000 in money helping me advertise my business. So truthfully, in all transparent, $7,500 is what I've spent on Facebook. If you remember the prior slide, it was $88,000 in new business and renewal commissions. So let me ask you a question. If I told you that there was a bank out there that you could take $7,500 to and come back in 42 months and they'd give you $88,000, would you do that? I think you would. That's why you need to be on social media. So you can also see right here, one last thing I want to show them is the 14 cents CPM. That means cost per thousand. So when I send an ad to a 30-year-old woman who drives a minivan, likes Desperate Housewives, and has a husband who owns a Harley-Davidson, Facebook tells me that for every 1,000 times they show that ad, 1,000 times, 14 cents is what they charge me. Can't beat it. Next slide. Social Sooner. This is my own thing, and I'm going to end with this. So give me about 3 minutes, and we're going to be done. I want you to take this seriously, and I want you to picture something in your mind, because if you can't tell, I'm very excited, and I have a strong belief in knowing that this stuff works, and it's for the future of the independent insurance agency, agent system, is that we have to take this by the horns and realize that our consumers know it's important, and we need to understand it's important. Picture it's St. Louis. You're in St. Louis. You know, I live close to St. Louis, but this has to do with the story. It's, you know, the 1850s, 1860s. You're looking west, and there's nothing but open land out there. Just open land. No one owns it. Those people that came and took that land were called Sooners, like an Oklahoma Sooner. Hit the slide. But to us, I want you to think of it as a digital, social Sooner. So I'm going to ask you to get on your digital horse and claim your virtual land. What I mean by that is the territory is wide open. I got to admit, it's not as open today as it was a couple years ago. But the territory is wide open. And think of the social Sooners. Think of the Sooners, the Oklahoma Sooners, who got the land first in the West. They were able to pick the best plots of land. They were able to name the counties, name the cities, and most of them became the governors and the major influential people in that area. So think of that as where we are now. The land is open, and I'm asking you to get on your digital horse and go out there and claim your virtual land, because you need that piece of land. It's very important, and I'll give you an example. I'm at a basketball game last winter, and I'm talking to a guy who lives in a town about 6 miles from me in Carlisle. He says to me, he says, Jason, he says, you're the Facebook insurance agent, aren't you? I said, well, yeah, I am. I said, how are you doing? He says, good. He says, you ran that contest giving away that iPad, didn't you? And I said, yeah. He said, an agent in my town is running that contest for an iPad too. And he says, and every time I see him advertise that, I always think of JDC Insurance Group, because I was the social Sooner. Because I got to the land first is the reason why he thinks of me and I name the states. So I'm asking you to get on your digital horse, and here's the most important part, and this is what Marty and this is what Marit and this is what I'm trying to tell you, that it all gets down to this. Our personal lines market share is depleting. It's depleting, and we can't lose any more of it. It's so important to know that 1%, every 1% of market share we lose is about $250 to $280 million in commission income to the independent insurance agent. That's roughly about $85,000 in commission income per county in America. Okay, seriously. And in our county, there's nothing but corn and pigs, so that's a lot of money. Okay, we can't continue to do it. And as agents, we really have all of our cannons in the same firing at the same way. It's to take out the direct writers, take out the captive writers, and get back market share. That's what it's all about. We need to do that. Here's why it's important. Marty, let's click. It's because when it comes to the commercial lines market share, we dominate that market. And it's only a matter of time before the 84% of the market share we have in commercial lines, before we start taking our cannons and firing on each other. Because this stuff, I mean, we've been doing this now for over 3 years, and we're now starting to master, and I say we, all the other social Sooners out there, are starting to master how to do this in the commercial lines area. So after a while, it's going to be firing the cannons on each other, and it's important that you have your cannon loaded. It's important that you become a social Sooner so that you're able to survive. A lot of people say to me, what's the ROI of social media? And here's my answer to them. Your ROI of social media is that your business will be around in 5 years. Now, I know that seems tough, but that's where we're going. I encourage you to be a social sooner. So if you're ready, mount up and claim your virtual land. Marty, do I have another slide?
I think that wraps it up. Thank you very much, Jason.
Thank you. As you can tell, Marit, and the listeners, I'm very passionate about it. I believe in it. If you need any help, contact one of us three, and we'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you again for your time.
Good. Thank you very much, Jason. As you can tell, Jason lives and breathes this, and it's nice to hear somebody who actually does it talk about it rather than it being from somebody who's talking about it from an academic perspective. So I'm going to wrap this up for us today. I know we've been together for 3 different sessions, but one thing I do want you to keep in mind is that overall, having a vision and a goal and planning towards that is going to be key. And that's why in the first session we spent that time about laying down that vision. And some general advice for you, remember to start with your customer. It's got to be about them. You've got to speak in their voice and be able to relate to them. You've got to put together then a plan that's flexible. Set some realistic goals. This isn't going to be easy to do at first. And what you don't need to do, and I think Jason mentioned it, if not in this session, another one, you don't have to do this alone. Look around, people you know, people you're working with, leverage their talents. Look at who's doing what successfully and see if you can't borrow and barter skills and talents from each other and be there as a service to one another. You don't have to do this yourself. And keep it simple. Bite off something that's meaningful to you, that you can play in a playground that makes sense to you, rather than taking on so much that it becomes overwhelming. It's very quick in social media for things to go and become outdated. Even your website, as Marty's mentioned, Google will absolutely reward you for making changes and keeping it current. So if that's where you're going to start with that. If you're getting engaged in social, find one area, do it well, work with it often, and start to see the results, because if you're tenacious, it's holding the line and not giving up too soon. And with that, I'm going to wrap us up with one quote, which is an Albert Einstein quote. And we all love to not make mistakes, and he says, however, a person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. I know this is new for many of us. Go out there, dabble in it, see some successes, and enjoy the rewards. George?
I am I'm busy taking notes, but that's okay. Okay, guys, I've taken 6 pages of notes. I can't believe it. I'm one of the unconnected ones. That is, you're born before all this stuff happened, and I'm trying to get connected. I've got so many friends. At least, I mean, I don't know if they're friends, but they're on Facebook, and I just keep adding them every day, and I don't know what I'm doing with them. I'm coming back to you guys and learning what's my next step with them. I must have 1,000 or 1,500, I guess, friends on Facebook, and I'm going to do something with those guys. You've motivated me. The 3 of you. If people knew how hard the 3 of you worked to make this come together, they would appreciate you even as much as I do, and I really do. So there's your contact places for them. Don't forget to go back to the email that came today, and you'll get the quiz flash there if you'd like to have that. Each week it's there, and it's brand new. The E&O tip of the week is there, and it's brand new. You can always get the archive by going to Rough Notes. You'll see it right there. You click on Rough Notes, and it's right on the front page of Rough Notes, the archive, and there's some awfully good stuff there. So once again, I'd like to remind you that if you have new employees, this is a terrific list. Look at that archive. Go down there and let them go to what makes sense for them. And I want to tell you something. This thing that you just heard makes sense for everybody. Gang, I thank you again from all of us, many people who are going to be getting a whole new look on what social networking is and all about, and the other planning our digital presence. And I thank you again. And for the rest of you, I'll see you next Monday morning.